Welcome back to another episode on how to hack. So here we have called Linux the advanced penetration testing distribution. So we have been looking at a lot of security assessment, penetration testing, ethical hacking with Kali Linux. So if you've been watching the videos for the past few hundred of it, you'll realize that we'll be using Kali Linux a lot in terms of using the software that comes alongside with it, as well as the different kind of applications that can help us accelerate the whole process of gaining access into different systems, into different mobile devices, laptops, and so on. So of course, the key assumption for today is that you already have Oracle VirtualBox running. So Oracle VirtualBox is a virtualization technology that allows you to run different kind of operating systems inside your Windows operating system. So for example, in this case, I have a Windows 10 running. And of course, on the left side, you can see all the different virtual machines that I have already installed on VirtualBox. So once I have all these different appliances or machine, I'll be able to actually run them, test them out, look out for potential vulnerabilities, and many other different kind of testing that you could do in this lab environment. So moving forward, we will go back into the Kali Linux page, and we'll go into the downloads. So click on Download Kali Linux, and once you're there, you will go into the Download Kali Linux images. So you scroll down into the Kali Linux 64-bit VirtualBox and click onto the Offensive Security VM download page. So you will be redirected into the Download Kali Linux virtual images. So of course, as you scroll down, you have versions for VMware images. You have versions for VirtualBox images, which we are keen for today's tutorial. And you also have Kali Linux on Hyper-V image. So we'll go ahead and click on the Kali Linux VirtualBox images. And then you do a right click on the 64-bit. So it depends whether you want it to be 32-bit or 64-bit, but we will be using and demonstrating on the 64-bit operating system of Kali Linux. So do a right click, click Save Link As, and we can save it directly to desktop. So this will be a open virtualization format archive file, and you click Save on that. So this would take a while for you to download a 3.1 gigabyte file. So of course, on the top right on the download, we can see it takes about 20 minutes, 19 minutes, 18 minutes for us to complete the download. So we'll come right back once we have completed the download to install Kali Linux into your VirtualBox. So welcome back, and we have the OVA file downloaded into the file directory that you have specified. And of course, on the left side, we also have an ISO file. So the ISO is a very different way of installing Kali Linux into your Oracle VirtualBox. So ISO kind of mimic how CD-ROMs or DVD-ROMs are actually being put, so that you can mount it into your operating system and mount it into your VirtualBox, your Hyper-V or VMware, and be able to install it as though you're installing it from a CD-ROM. So of course, today's focus is primarily on OVA. So this is a way faster installation to help you get Kali Linux up and running very quickly on your VirtualBox. So double click on it, and it will automatically import all the settings, configurations of Kali Linux into your VirtualBox so that you can automatically import the appliance into your VirtualBox manager. So here we have the import virtual appliance, and we have the appliance settings. So we got virtual system 1, and we can see all the information, Kali Linux 2020.1-VBox. And we got a product, URL, vendor, and we got a guest operating system type, the CPU of 2 cores, and the RAM of 2048 megabyte. And once you have all this information, check on reinitialize the MAC address of all network cards and click on import on that. So of course, you'll be prompted with the software license agreement, and go ahead and click agree. And this will take about a couple of minutes for the import to complete. So what we'll do later will be on some of the simple settings and configuration to make sure that you have the setting for the VM up and running. So now we've completed the importing of Kali Linux 2020.1. So of course, I have a second one with an _1. And of course, we can click under the settings. And in the settings, we can see there is a invalid settings detected. So this is on the USB page. So go ahead and go on a USB and select on the enable USB controller and check on USB 1.1. So this would actually remove the error. So it depends on the kind of controller that you have. So click OK on that. And of course, we can go ahead and click on settings again and look at the display. And you want to make sure that you go through all the configuration to make sure everything is good to go. And once you have all this information being set up, go ahead and click start on it. And once we click start on it, we'll be able to change the machine information on the view, and we're going to uncheck the auto resize of the guest display. So once we uncheck on that, we will be able to get access directly into Kali Linux a lot quickly, and we'll be able to manage the Kali Linux startup. So here, of course, we have Kali Linux startup, and in the Kali Linux startup, we'll be prompted with the username and password. So go ahead and click on Kali and the password of Kali as well, and click login on that. So once you're able to log in the Kali Linux, here we can see we have booted into the desktop of Kali Linux, and we'll be able to launch different kind of commands, check on different kind of information, and you can click on the right side. So we will be going through the tutorials for information gathering, vulnerability analysis, web application analysis, database assessment, password attacks, wireless attacks, reverse engineering, exploitation tools, sniffing and spoofing, post-exploitation, forensics, reporting tools, social engineering tools, and all these will be part of our tutorial so that you can learn everything about cybersecurity. So I hope you've learned something valuable in today's tutorial, and remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so that you can be kept abreast of the latest cybersecurity tutorial. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below, and I'll try my best to answer any of your questions. Thank you so much once again for watching. Guys, welcome back to another episode of How to Hack. So this is a Windows 10 operating system that we are running, and all you can see is we have Nmap installed, and we can double click on that to launch it. So we can actually go ahead and use Nmap to scan the entire network for existing devices. So we can do a /24 on a subnet mask. Go ahead and click scan on that, and this will start off the scan, and we can try to find out all the IT devices, assets in the environment, whether they are routers, wireless access points, network printers, even some of the laptops, desktops, and mobile devices. We'll be able to pick them up using Nmap. And of course, the next great tool that we'll look at is on Kali Linux. So we have installed Kali Linux on our Windows operating system. So if you want to know how you can install Kali Linux on your Windows OS, just go back to one of the videos in which we were sharing on how you could do the installation from Microsoft Store. So going back into the tutorial, we can actually see that we have the Kali Linux running. And all you can do is enter ifconfig, and you can see the IP address of your current operating system. So we are on Wi-Fi 0, and we are on IP address of 192.168.1.1. So we can go ahead and enter MSF console. So this would actually start up the Metasploit framework in your Windows operating system. And once you have it started up, we can search for exploit. And the whole idea is that as long as you have Kali Linux as well as Nmap or ZenMap, which is the graphical user interface of Nmap, as long as you have these two wonderful tools, you can complete your security penetration testing or your security auditing very quickly. It's gonna speed up the whole process, at least for 75 to 80% of most of the penetration testing work that you have to do. So in this case, we can see that we have detected 3 hosts inside the network. So of course, one is on .15, and others is on .8, and other is on .254. So we have 3 specific IT devices that are connected to the network. And at the bottom, of course, right now is the connect scan timing. And of course, we can see that the completion is now on 18.67%. And we're discovering a lot of open ports in the environment. And again, all this could spell trouble for some of these IT devices if they have not been properly patched, if an exploit is available, or even a denial of service is there for us to actually take down the entire server or IT asset. So really important for you to secure your enterprise network from all your immediate scans. So now we're on 43.40%. So going back into Kali Linux, we see that we got 1,965 exploits. We got 1,094 auxiliary, and we got 337 post modules. So we can actually do a search, and on a search, you can actually look at, say, for example, you want to find out about how you can hack into Android. All you got to do is enter search Android, and it will show you all the modules available, whether they're payloads, post exploitation, auxiliary. You can see it all here. So of course, we have been exploring a lot of Android vulnerabilities, exploit management of Android devices, and so on in the past 10 videos or so. So right now, we're going to look at how we could weaponize Windows and be able to hack into any operating system with Windows operating system. So over here, we are 68.20% done in terms of the completion of the discovery of ports. So this is a really good way, and Once we complete the scan of this, we will be moving over into the comprehensive scan because we really need to find out the exact version of those services. And if you can find out the exact versions of each of those services running in an operating system, it will be a lot easier for you to find those exploits on the left side. So the left side meaning Kali Linux or Metasploit framework. So this is really important because the whole idea is about maxing and matching what is right in terms of exploitation. So over here, once we complete the scan, we will actually run some of the exploitation, do a search or lookup on the Metasploit framework and try to find out what's going on in the operating system. Run it, set the parameters, and be able to go after the system. So of course, in this case, I have a virtual machine running. So over here, I have a virtual machine. And of course, I can enter ifconfig, and we can see the IP address is 192.168.1.15. So of course, this is the target machine that we're going after. It has a lot of services running. And there's a lot of services that have vulnerabilities. So of course, in this tutorial, you have to take it as though we are hacked the box. This is a black box. And the whole idea I'm showing you this is so that we can speed up and accelerate the whole pace of understanding what's going on. So moving back into Nmap scan result. So we are waiting for the scan to complete. And once the scan complete, we can actually move over into the exploitation stage. And a lot of times the exploitation stage requires you to do a lot of search up, look up, finding out more information and details about each of the service number and be able to find out an exploit for it. And the exploit could be in CVE, which is Common Vulnerability Exposure Database, which is a great place for you to look up all these potential exploits that you can run. Or you can actually do a direct search on your Kali Linux box or on your Metasploit framework. And if you run Kali Linux, you can do a search exploit lookup. And of course, if you're running on a weaponized Windows operating system, on Metasploit framework directly, you'll be able to search it up. So over here, we are waiting for the initial scan to be completed. So it should more or less complete in a couple more minutes. And once we complete the scan, we'll be able to look out on the host, the services they're running, and all the ports topology, host details, and scan results that's coming right now. So it's still running. We want a scan to complete. So it's just another couple more minutes and we'll complete the scan. So over here, we have completed the scan. So it took quite some time, 463.29 seconds. So we can see that we got 256 IP addresses being completed a scan. And scrolling all the way up, we can see that we got a very detailed scan on the IP address of 192.168.1.15. And of course, over here on the .8, we actually have a network printer that's running. And of course, here we have the 192.168.1.15. So this is the target server that we're going after. And of course, say for example, we see one service with a particular version number of 2.3.4, and it allows a anonymous FTP login. So if you do a Kali Linux on your Metasploit search, you can search for VSFTPD, do a search on that, and we can find the exploit immediately. And likewise, we can see other information like your Linux telnet, postfix, and ISC bind, Apache HTTP 2.2.8. We also have a RPC bind, and so on. So you can see all the details here coming from the server as well as the exact version number. And the version number is really important because a lot of exploits are tightly correlated with the kind of service number or version number of that particular service. So for example, over here we have an Unreal IRCD. So again, likewise, you can search Unreal and you can actually find out over here that we got IRC3281 backdoor. And of course, likewise, we saw earlier on the other information as well. And of course, with this in mind, on Nmap, you can actually look at the services, select on the host, click on the services, and we can actually click on each of the service, find out more information and details about each of those services. The domain, the exec, FTP, we got 3 of it. Of course, we got one on .8, one on .15, and so on. And of course, we got topology as well, and we can see more details about the topology. Where are the servers located? Do you have a local host? Which is your IP address? And so on. And of course, this is really a good way for you to actually map out what's going on in the environment and what are some of the controls they have, as well as the host details that you can look into more detail of what's going on. You can add your own comments. Maybe this was a server that's running particularly critical information, or you can look at the scan results coming in and so on. So we also have HTTP information over here. So what are the servers that's actually running on HTTP? We can find out all those details, or Java RMI. And of course, all this information are really helpful in terms of you trying to find out what kind of exploits we can use. So in this case, moving up, we can actually look up again on VSFTPD. So all you got to do is actually enter use exploit Unix FTP VSFTPD 234_backdoor. Hit enter on that. Enter show options. So here we got our host, we got our pod. So all we got to do is set our host 192.168.1.15. And once you're done with that, you can set payload as well. And of course, we can set payload as say Windows or Unix and so on. So of course, here we got interact. And once we have all this information, all you got to do is enter exploit. Hit exploit and we'll be able to gain access directly into the server. So here, backdoor service has been spawned, handling UID command shell session 1 open. And once we have all these details, you can actually go ahead and enter who am I, and it will say you are root. And you can enter pwd to see the current working directory, ls-l to see all the files and subdirectories within the current exploited folder that you're in. So this will really help you find out what are some of the details, information you want to look at. And of course, you can look at Control-Z, and that will actually help you immediately background the session. And once the session has been background, you can actually look up on post exploitation modules. So you can search on post. And of course, on post modules, you can actually use post followed by Linux. And we can look up what are some of the getter information, check VM. So let's say I want to use getter, check VM. So again, this could be useful to check and find out if whether you're connected to a honey port. And you can go ahead and enter that and enter show options again and set the session as 1. So of course, here you can enter sessions and it will show you all the existing sessions. Go ahead and hit run on that. And this will be able to tell you what kind of virtual machine they're running on, what kind of virtualization technology they are running on.